Hey, Jantans and Jantanites, it's Jason Desmond from the Jantan Collective with another interesting and relevant discussion on what's up with that. This is where we question, we learn, and we grow. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below. We love hearing from you. It might have been something that we discussed before, or you feel like you want to tell us something that we should be talking about. Get in touch. Now, just want to ask your thoughts on this because I've just really thought about this very recently. What do you do when you're approached by the cops? Can the police just enter your house, like barge in? And do you know your legal rights? And if you don't, what's up with that? Now, to help us kind of maneuver around all these legal jargon and our rights and everything, we have with us today Kee Hui Yee, legal associate at Kanesa Lingam & Co. And Hui Yee focuses on civil litigation, mainly corporate and commercial disputes, family law, probate matters, and she also has experience in human rights and constitutional law matters, which is very important today because that's what we're going to be touching on today. Because is it an emergency? Is it not an emergency? Are the ordinances still in place right now? Apparently, there's a 6-month active lifespan for these things. So there's a lot that we're wondering right now. But also a lot of things that's been happening in recent weeks because of this EMCO, because of what's been going on and everything. It seems like we don't have much rights anymore these days, Hui Yee. Especially what happened in Penang the other day, because we're so used to American TV and Americans always go, I know my rights. And then Malaysians realize that we don't know our rights, you know what I mean? So in the case of the Penang case where they searched the home and then they're apparently allowed to, you know what happened, right?
Yeah.
What really are our rights, Hui Yee?
So there are many things involved here, right? If you are talking about your right when you're arrested, or in that Penang case, is more of whether the authorities or the police can just go into your house. I think I will just start by talking about the rights when, let's say, the police approach you, any police officers, when you're just walking on the street and then the police, somebody, whether in plain clothes or in their uniform.
Good. Right? Let's just say they think you look dodgy, and then they walk up to you and then they say, hey, right? So what are our rights at that particular point?
So I think it's very important that you need to ask them, who are they? You can ask them for their name, their police ID. If they are wearing uniform, you can see that they have a number on their, can't remember, left or right. And you should also ask them where are they from, which balai, which IPD. So it will also help you to identify whether they are real. Of course, before you say anything further to them, you can call the balai and check to say, is this officer from this balai? And you know, so that sort of will help you to verify their identity.
Oh, you can do that. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
Yes.
That's good to know.
It's within your right. And one very important thing that you need to ask them is, am I under arrest? That is very important. If the answer is dilly-dally, they say, actually, tak adalah, or no, you are not, then it's fine that you actually walk away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But let's say if they ask you for your but they can ask you for your identification. They ask you a name or where you're from, ask you to show IC or whatever. You need to show them, right? I mean, there's a whole legal thing you can fight, but again, to just verify your identity is within their right to do so. So, but anything further than that, they say, oh, we suspect you have committed a crime or whatever. You don't have to answer until, that's why I say it's very important you ask them, am I under arrest? Okay. If they say you are not, then you can just walk away. If they say, yes, you are under arrest, then they are supposed to tell you, you are arrested for what? Let's say they say, oh, because you have stolen something. Basically, the legal jargon is that you need to be informed what's the ground of your arrest. So they have to tell you.
Do they have to show me proof at a particular time that I've done something,
no.
or is this on suspicion?
Mere suspicion is sufficient for them to arrest you. But they need to tell you. They cannot just say, yeah, you are just under arrest. They cannot just say, yeah, you're going to tangkap. You can ask them, you're arrested for what? I mean, it's for drug cases or whatever. They have to tell you that. after that, you still have the right to legal representation.
Okay.
So you can call your lawyer. You can tell the police, okay, I'm under arrest for this. I will contact my lawyer now before we speak further. Because usually the police will say, you come with us to the balai, we will take your statement, what we call the Section 112 statement. Basically is to help them with their investigation. So you can follow them, but you don't have to say anything until your lawyer is with you.
Right.
They cannot force you to say anything. But of course, the practical thing or reality is you want to cooperate as much as possible without jeopardizing your right.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I've always thought about that because, like, again, in American TV and nowadays they have this body cams and everything, right? A lot of it, like a lot of what I see are people being dicks. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I know my rights. After they get harassed even more, sometimes physically abused and whatnot. So I'm like, I will try to be as accommodating as possible. So I think the most I will do is give them my IC, let them see it, and then they're not allowed to hold on to it, right?
Yes. So you see, I think again, like what you said, I think we've watched too much TV, whether your Hong
American
Kong
TV specifically, I think, right? Yeah.
TVs, right?
Yeah.
You always see it. I have my right to remain silent or whatever.
But I know how to read those rights as well. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney, and if you don't have the funds to hire an attorney, the court will appoint one for you. Like, I know the American one. I don't know the Malaysian one for some reason, you know?
Yeah. Right. Okay. So under the Malaysian law, you have the right to remain silent, but there's a but. If the questions asked may incriminate you. So, for example, the police, the question is, okay, I will just take the rally happened over the weekend or whatever, right? If the police question was, were you at Dataran Merdeka on the 31st of July? It's something that may incriminate you, because if you say, yes, I was there, they might charge you in court. So questions like this, you don't have to answer. You have a right under Section 112 of the Criminal Procedure Code to remain silent.
Right.
And it's perfectly fine that you say, saya gunakan hak saya untuk tidak menjawab. I invoke my right to not answer this question. Or typically, some of the lawyers will advise you to say something like, I will answer in court. So that's fine. You don't have to give an answer. So that's as far as whether you can remain silent in Malaysia. Unless
in some cases they encourage you to speak, I suppose.
You see, generally you can refuse to answer questions under this Section 112. But of course, there are certain laws, like I think it's like some MACC law or whatever. You don't have those kind of right to remain silent. But I'm just saying, if the usual crime or whatever, you generally have those rights, which is why it is so important that you have your lawyer with you. You sort of don't talk until your lawyer is there.
Because my lawyer would know more about what I'm.
Yes,
right.
Because the lawyer will definitely inquire. Okay, my client is okay. You want to investigate my client or whatever? Is he under arrest? Which section you are investigating, for what crime? Who made the police report? Those kind of things. Trust us, lawyers will know best in this kind of scenario.
Correct. Yeah.
And so, but again, you see, the reality is, when the moment you sort of like step into the police station or whatever, they will start poking already. They will start off being very friendly, right? They will say, last Saturday, where were you? Or whatever.
Chat lah, right?
Yeah, it's not written. Technically, it's not something that, because when they take your statement, you have to sign at the end. After the session, you can read through, you can edit, you can amend. Once you agree with everything, then you only sign. That's your statement, right? But they will try to have this friendly chit chat. But
none of the chit chat is admissible in court, right? None of the.
It's not per se. It's not in the statement. Even your 112 statement, it's not admissible per se. It's just to help them to do their investigation.
Right,
So you see, even those chit chats, although it's not in your black and white, the more you talk, you are giving them more weapon lah, right?
That's true.
Oh yeah, okay.
And when people get nervous, they talk, right?
Yes, which is why we always advise you really get a lawyer, right? And of course, in situation like this, I just give you a very practical tip, right? Maybe you don't know lawyers, you don't have a lawyer friend or lawyer family or whatever, but at least please, can you at least memorize or remember your next of kin or your family members, your boyfriend, girlfriend's phone number? Because I have clients, they don't remember. I mean, okay, you see, the police has to give you that phone call, sort of like American style. You have the right to call someone.
Yeah, Miranda rights, right? Yeah.
You want to call your family members, some of them, they might want to call their employers, right? I think it's very important, at least for any urgent situation, not only when police is looking for you, you at least need to get on hold someone that your family members or friends can help you find a lawyer. Because there are times when you are brought to a ballet or wherever, you probably don't know. Most of the time, the lawyers, it's actually quite hard for us to identify where you are. Unless when during that phone call, you I tell my mother, ma, I'm now at IPD Dang Wangi. Can you get a lawyer or whatever? Then at least your family member can tell your lawyer that, yeah, I am being detained in Dang Wangi. If not, the lawyer will have to literally call every police stations in KL, or if you're out of KL, then it makes things even more difficult.
Now, let's get back to the Penang case, because we now know if they approach you, what you're supposed to say, get a lawyer and everything.
Yeah.
In the case of the Penang one, they just barged in there.
Yeah.
So what happened there? Who was in the right? Was what the police chief said correct? Because he said that they had the right.
So I think I briefly read what was reported online. So what happened was, I believe the police suspected someone, suspect, I cannot call the person criminal yet.
Right.
The suspect was hiding in that house or the premise. So in that kind of scenario, the police is right. They can, when they if they have that kind of suspicion, they can, if they think like, oh, someone is hiding in JD's house, right? Reasonable suspicion. So they can come to your house and say, please open up. We want to search your premise to see if this person is in there.
But don't I have the right to refuse them?
You don't.
Really?
Yes. So you see, if you refuse, they can actually break into your house.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
So of course that's but again, they cannot just break in lah. They have to tell you, we suspect who is there or whatever. So you need to cooperate.
But it's just based on suspicion, though. I mean, they could suspect anybody. They could just barge into anybody's home, then, right?
Okay,
technically.
Yes and no. So the suspicion has to be based on something. There must be like a police report. Some investigation is going on. They cannot be like today go there and say, I suspect Hui Yee is hiding in your house. It cannot be that case, right? They must give some sort of reasons. We are investigating this crime. For example, we did like a robbery or whatever at the KK Mart last Saturday. We're investigating this crime, and because her so-called last known address is here, so we suspect she's here. So please open up. And legally, you are supposed to cooperate. If not, they can use what we call reasonable force to force their way in.
Wow, that's really strange to hear, because we know from watching American TV, you need to have a warrant to search for anything. So I suppose every country has its different.
It's different, but you see, I think the whether they need a warrant, again, I think it really comes down to whether the person has the authority to arrest the person. You see, if they think the suspect is there and he's going to run away, if the police think that you are there and I cannot be allowed in and he's going to escape, then the police has the right to go in and arrest the person.
Okay. So
you see, I know like TV, okay, I'm not familiar with American law, but I'm just saying a lot of times the TV, they will just show part of the law. So yeah, but you're right, like different jurisdictions, they have different laws, but in our country, that's the position.
okay, but at some point they need to have a warrant to confirm that this person was in there, that they had the right to come into your home. Like how are warrants issued in Malaysia? Is it the same as how it's done on TV and whatnot? Because at some point, as Malaysians, as just regular citizens, we're always concerned that we want to be as cooperative as possible. But the moment you barge into our home and let's say nothing's going on, let's say their suspicions were all wrong. They came into our house, they broke a bunch of stuff and everything. They went through or whatever, and some things went missing. And then it turns out that there was no such person in the house and they were wrong. Do we get compensated for that?
Okay, this is again a very tricky question, right? If you suspect or if you think the police has acted out of their power, this applies to even say arrest, or like you say, if they have a warrant, they search a different place, they have a warrant for this room, but they actually went into another room, that kind of thing. There is a department in Bukit Aman where you can lodge a complaint. It's like sort of like a disciplinary department for the police. But of course, subsequently, whether you want to seek compensation, let's say you want to file a claim in court, technically you can. Everything is possible, but whether it is practical to do so. And again, for the police, their defense will usually be, we have that suspicion. What I'm trying to say is that it's very rare that they don't have anything and then they go in. Then they are completely wrong. Usually they have something, like a police report. And it's actually very easy for anyone to make a police report. That police report doesn't have to be, let's say they're coming after me, right? Somebody that don't know me, just say that, yeah, I think someone looks like Hui was in JD's house a few days ago. And when the police receive that police report, that is their basis of going to JD's house. It doesn't matter the complainant, the person who lodged the police report, whether he or she knows me or not. So that's like the police, I would say their strongest defense. They'll say, actually, we acted based on something.
Right. Like a tip-off, right? So, but
yeah.
Long story short, chances are we're not going to get compensated. So I'm going to put it that way, right? But
yeah,
there's a lot to be concerned about if you're a citizen, I suppose, because there's so much.
I guess you see, like the Penang case, I think that lady did the right thing. She didn't immediately open up the door. She questioned. I didn't watch the video. I think apparently she did some Facebook live or something, right?
Yeah,
I'm not aware.
But
again, you it's within your right to ask them who they are, show their police ID and from which balai, and then you can call that police station and verify whether this squad is actually supposed to be at your house.
And also, if you can get a lawyer over there, if possible, all right.
Your right to legal representation, you always have that. It's always good to have someone, a lawyer there with you, so that you are also.
And that I'm looking at it from the flip side, like that. In the meantime, while some people can use it to their advantage as well. They could be stalling the cops. Meanwhile, this suspect could be running off already, right? It's just very concerning that they can just do certain things just based on a tip off. Some guy could have something against me and then he just reported me, whatever they write. So how long can we make them wait before they go, okay, this is just bullshit, and we're just going to break down your door and then we're going to come in?
I don't think there's a golden rule or to say, like 10 seconds or whatever. It really depends on I would say, the police. If they really think something is going on and then you are not allowing me in for some very bullshit excuse, then I'm just going to break in. And I think they have the right to do so.
There have been a lot of conflict, not a conflict, like a lot of questions were raised based on what's been happening with the emergency. What are our rights really? And then can they come in? Can we, if we're out and about after 8 p.m. in an EMCO area, are we allowed to be? Can they find us? So it's just basic rights that we need to know. So I suppose going back to what you said earlier, we have the right to remain silent, but there are conditions, right? So always get a lawyer, right?
Yeah. So you see, I think of course then people will come and say, oh, is it because Hui Yee wants a lot of business? Of course I want business, but you see, the thing is, the bar, even the state bar, we offer legal aid services. So it's not like, I mean, of course, if you can afford a lawyer, of course, your own private lawyer is fine. I'm just saying, if you need any legal advice for certain things and you think you cannot afford, then it's actually best to approach the state bar, or there are many lawyers doing things pro bono. And even we have this what we call the Yayasan Bantuan Guaman. If someone is being arrested, you can only be detained for 24 hours. If the police wants to detain you further, more than 24 hours, you need to be brought before a magistrate to get what we call the remand order. So the lawyer's job is to fight against this remand application. We have to understand 1 second of you being in the lockup is you have just lost 1 second of your liberty. And you don't know what can happen. I mean, I know we've heard a lot of horror stories in the lockup or jail. And I mean, it did happen, right? So really, your lawyers will just want to get you out of that lockup as soon as possible. The lawyer will tell the magistrate, you see, this if let's say, I don't know, the police might say, oh, because we need to go and search my house or whatever, or do further investigation, blah blah blah. Then the lawyer's argument will be, this whatever further investigation that you want to do, you can do without me being detained in the lockup. It doesn't help your investigation.
Again, I suppose I understand why in some cases they want to do it, because maybe the guy is violent, maybe whatever it is, maybe he could go back to the scene of his crime and clean up whatever. I understand that, but
you are absolutely right. But again, the police has to convince the magistrate. So the police actually has to write down in what they call a diary, to basically tell the magistrate what they have done in the past 24 hours. If let's say the diary is like literally has nothing, then my lawyer will say okay, the police had the 24 hours to do something, but they didn't. So because of either they're so inefficient, or I cannot say lazy but they're so slow. It's not. You cannot be. You cannot have the right to detain me further. It's your problem, not my problem. So, but you are right. They will get the remand in situation where, let's say, it's a more serious crime. For example, like a suspect of a murder. Reason to detain you further is because they are afraid that you will go clean up the scene, or you will go and disturb the witnesses.
Correct. Yeah.
And things like that. So for those kind of the grounds, maybe they will get the remand order. But
and I'm pretty sure that the law understands that 98% of the time people are not like that, right? But there's a 2% who are really violent, really hardcore criminals, right? So I think they would know that in general, everybody does get released after 24 hours, right? So,
you'll be surprised. No. So
what?
You will see people, because you see, if you don't have a lawyer to fight against the remand order, chances are the police is going to get it. They will detain you further, because nobody's there to rebut their argument, right? So I cannot stress enough. It's so important that you have a legal representation.
Right. Now, again, I gotta let everyone watching this to know that the show, we were not pro we're not against. We're just trying to get to the bottom of things. It's just a black and white discussion about what are our rights, what we are allowed to have, what we're not allowed to have. But it's always better to get a lawyer, someone you know, whatever it is, because it's like when your aircon rosak, whatever it is at home, you're not going to fix it yourself. You need to have someone who knows about air conditioning, right? In this case, get someone who knows about the law to protect you. But there are many cases, right? That again, I will keep referencing TV, but the thing is, has there been a case where they did it wrongly, and then a person gets to get out, like go scot-free because the cops or whatever it is didn't do their job properly during the arrest? Have you ever dealt with a case where a criminal has gotten loose?
Wow, cannot ask me questions like this.
I mean, it's just one.
You see, I personally I have not, and the thing is, usually lawyers, I don't ask whether you have committed a crime. So to me, you are my client. You are not a criminal. But again, whether the police has done something not procedurally right, and the suspect or the person who has been charged get discharged or acquitted, it happens. I mean, and there are even so in those kind of cases, court will just throw up the case lah. So you are acquitted. And if I can give you an example, there are also situations where, which is why I mentioned earlier, it's very important that you ask the police, am I under arrest? Because if you are not, and they insist on keeping you, technically that is also considered as imprisonment. Fahmi Reza has something like this before. So I think he talked about this on his social media before. It's one of the protests that he attended at Dataran. And it's a DBKL officer who came and said that, please follow us to the police station. And he did ask the officer, but at that time he said he actually also didn't really know his right. But he did ask the DBKL officer. It's not even a police officer. He asked the officer, am I under arrest? Then the officer just say, didn't answer directly and just say, you follow us. He did follow, and eventually he found that he was not under arrest, and he actually filed a suit against DBKL, if I'm not wrong, and he actually won. So
what's DBKL doing arresting people?
Exactly. So you see, people like these, they are abusing their position. There are times that they don't have the right to even arrest someone. And so there are things, this is like very legally, very technical and stuff. But again, to answer a question, yes, if the police has done something wrong, have illegally detained you or whatever, you can seek your so-called justice, or you have your recourse later on. But again, you see the bad thing about the whole legal process is that it takes time. It's not something that you are so angry today, then tomorrow you get your justice. It takes a long time. That's just the reality.
Yeah, but to be arrested, because the DBKL thing just kind of knocked me out. If you're going to be questioned or arrested or everything, it has to be done by the cops. Anybody else is just something dodgy happening there. All right, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now,
so which is why we always say that you ask, don't be afraid. Just ask, who are you, and well within your rights. Yeah.
Police bantuan consider cops as well, right?
They have their certain authority, what they can or cannot do lah.
There are a lot of things that still Malaysians don't know about. So we realize that cops can come in plain clothes, cops can come in uniform, and you can see their ID and everything. You can ask them for where they're from, and then you can call the police station and everything to verify. But now, another thing is, body search, because now we know that they can just barge into your house if they suspect you of something, right? But can they search your car? Can they search your body, like for anything? Body searches, right? Who is allowed to search you, really?
Okay, body search. First thing that I need to tell you is that only women can search women lah. So the moment a male police come and say they want to search me, that's wrong already. If you are already being detained, then the police can conduct a body search because they suspect that you're hiding something. Let's say I've stolen something, I hide it somewhere, within my body or whatever, they can do the search if you are under arrest.
So in the case of body searches, right, are they allowed to just search you at the side of the street and everything, or they need to arrest you before they search you?
I read the law as they need to arrest you. They need to stop you and tell you you're under arrest. Then only they can search on you. But if you are talking about things like a car, because just now you asked about car.
Yeah.
So car under the law, if for drug cases, they can actually stop you and search the car if they, again, the technical word is reasonable ground to believe that there's some drugs in your car. So that's what they can do.
And I suppose when you get back down to being arrested and you didn't do anything wrong, you didn't do anything wrong, and they say that you are arrested, they need to clearly state that yes, you are under arrest, you need to follow us, right?
Yes, they cannot give you a half-baked answer, maybe or maybe not. It must be very clear to, when you ask them, they must tell you whether you are being arrested.
Okay, so when they say yes, you are under arrest, you have to follow us to the police station. Okay, what if they say nothing of the sort, like there's no arrest mentioned and everything? Am I under arrest and anything? They say nothing, just ask you to follow like the DBKL case and everything. Can you refuse to follow them?
Yeah, you can. So you
what if they persuade you really, really strongly?
Or your lawyer. To me, I think the thing is really when they say you are not under arrest, you can just walk away.
When they arrest you, right, do they take all your belongings, like your wallet and your phone and everything? Because I'm wondering whether, if that's the case, can you record the entire thing? Because sometimes another thing is, no, you're not allowed to record this. You're not allowed to film me on your phone or whatever it is. Are you allowed to record them?
Okay, so if you remember, this is exactly what happened when the student, I think they did a protest, and then the police went to the student's house, trying to, I guess, arrest him, and his friend tried to record, and then there was some big hoo-ha because
correct, yeah,
the police said that, oh, you cannot stop us from doing our job. And then they will cite the law. I mean, the law is you cannot obstruct the police from carrying out their duties. But the court has said that even the cops themselves, I think they issued some statement to say that you can record. So just mere recording. But again, I must stress, you don't do it in a very provocative way, right? You don't push your phone or camera into their face kind of thing.
Correct.
You just to the side, take your video or take your photo. Usually they are fine. So but of course there are times they will say jangan record or whatever. But again, I don't see in law anything wrong with recording. I still think it's within your right to record.
Yeah. Because it's like the recent PPV situation, right? When you're getting a vaccination. Thank goodness someone was recording, because there was a lot of dodgy activity where people weren't actually getting vaccinated. But then after that, I can't remember who it was who said that you're not allowed to.
Yeah, because I think some PPVs, they put up the sticker to say that recording.
Correct, yeah. But just because you put up a sign doesn't mean that that's your right. Because even Khairi Jamaluddin said, no, you're allowed. If you want anything, you can call me and say, you can ask me and everything. So that's allowed. In this case, if you don't obstruct, if you're just collecting evidence, just in case, it could be, sometimes when you record, it could actually be in favor of the police that they're actually doing a great job, right? So it's just filming.
You can sort of like negotiate, which is why, again, lawyers are very good at doing this kind of job, right? If let's say a lawyer is there and then my client wants to record, if the police say, oh, no, I don't want to record. So this is the time where sometimes the lawyers will you put in some people skill to say, oh, this is actually for everybody's benefits, right? I record so nobody complains.
Correct. I personally think that's why they have the body cams on cops. Because I think it's great to know that the cops are actually following procedures. Just earlier you mentioned that if you are, I'm trying to get the terms right, you're not arrested, they bring you in for questioning, whatever it is, they can detain you for 24 hours, right?
Okay.
But if you're arrested, how long can they hold you?
No. Okay. No. Okay, let's start over again.
Okay, yeah.
If they detain you, meaning you are arrested.
Arrested already. Okay, cool.
Yeah, arrested already. So the whole detention can only last up to 24 hours.
Okay, cool.
Unless it's something under the Prevention of Crime Act, whatever. So smart. The one it's a
That's a whole different thing, right? Yeah.
Different thing. That one is like your crime against like gang and things like that. That one, terrorism, whatever. That's different story. But generally, if they arrest you, they detain you, they only have up to 24 hours.
Okay. So detaining is arrest already, technically.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
So you see, if they are only taking your statement, legally speaking, they need to issue what we call a notice under section 111 of the Criminal Procedure Code. So in that notice, the notice will state you are being summoned to, I think it says to basically help with the investigation. For what? Usually they will put down the police report lah. So usually like for my clients or whatever, I will usually insist the police on giving that notice, because so that I know how to prepare myself and prepare my clients. I need to know what crime or whatever is being investigated under, or which incident you want him to talk about.
And also there's a paper trail for you to follow as well.
Yes. But of course, the reality is that they don't follow this procedure. You can, and of course, you see, if you are like a lay person without a lawyer or whatever, police call you, of course you will go lah. I don't think
you freak out.
No, I insist on that notice.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is also that's another reason why a lot of people get scammed, because there are a lot of fake people who impersonate cops and everything. Recently, because of what's been going on, politically, I suppose you want to put it that way, right? A lot of assemblies have been what do you want to call it? Illegal assembly or whatever it is. A lot of protests were called for. Peaceful protests. People just wanted to voice their opinion and whatnot. The right to peaceful assembly. We had the one where it was, I think it was a black flag one just recently. And then recently, just the other day, because Parliament was closed because of so-called cluster, the opposition MPs went up and then they demanded to be let into Parliament. And then also the doctors, the Hartel doctors who were on contract and everything, right? What are their rights? Are they allowed to have a peaceful assembly? Do they need to apply for something, or are they all generally right now all criminals considered?
So the short answer I'm going to give you is they have a right to peaceful assembly. So under the federal constitution, everybody has a right to do peaceful assembly.
Even under emergency.
I don't think emergency takes away that right.
Right.
And of course, you ask whether you need to apply for any permit or whatever. Of course, the police is going to say yes, you need. But the law doesn't say you need a permit. You only need to give.
Really?
Yeah, you don't need to. If you look at the Peaceful Assembly Act, I think 2012, you only need to give notification to the OCPD 5 days before the event. You don't need to.
And you don't need approval. It's just notice.
You don't need approval. You definitely don't need approval. But again, you might think, oh, this is a great thing. But actually, we are not meeting the international standard under the International Convention of the Civil and Political Rights. Actually, you only need to give 48 hours notice. So we need to give 5 days notice. Actually, it doesn't meet the international standard. But again, what I'm saying is that we do have a right to peaceful assembly. And, before the amendment, last time, we were only allowed to have a static assembly. Basically, last time, you're not allowed to do street protests. So before the act was amended, it's quite interesting. Before the act was amended, if you do a march or whatever, it's sort of like illegal. You can only stand there. But again, now it has been removed. So to me, I think whatever they've done, it's absolutely within their constitutional right. You can do peaceful assemblies, whether the doctors, the youth, the rakyat did at the Dataran and all that. I personally think they have all the right to do so, because it's really part of the constitution. It's part of the democracy.
So then why are they being called up though? The police said they're going to call up these guys on for the so-called black flag one.
Yeah,
they're being called up.
Yeah.
Why have they been targeted? Why have the doctors were not? Are they going to do anything with the opposition MPs? Why?
I think even the doctors, they were called up. There were reports that the police went to the I think Sungai Buloh or somewhere, the one the
oh right, yeah, the question, yeah, correct.
So they went from midnight up until I think 3-4 o'clock, which is really uncalled for, right? I mean, again, I think it's really within a constitutional right to do peaceful assembly. And again, the police has been investigating a lot of things, but I'm saying whether the doctors or other people who took part in the assemblies, they have been using very archaic law like the Sedition Act. They have used the Peaceful Assembly Act, and of course, they have been using the regulation under this COVID.
Correct, exactly. That was the one I was wondering about. So, are they using that under the emergency law? Are they using it because breaking SOPs or?
The regulation was sort of like passed because of the emergency ordinance. So if you look at the regulation, it has something to say that you cannot assemble and for social reason. It actually covers things like weddings, religious function or whatever. So the police has been, even for these rallies, they've been using this regulation 17 to actually investigate and even issue compound. If you remember the first round when they did there's one rally at Dataran, they issued compound to whoever was there. So I think it's wrong. I think it's just the government's tactic to silence the people. They know that, and we have seen this over and over again. It's not just the current government. We have seen it years ago during Bersih 2.0 was probably one of the worst. And then there was Tangkap Najib's rally, and people also being arrested. And although it was all peaceful assemblies, but the government will just try to use the laws to silence people, because the recent events, before the event the assembly at Dataran, the Lawan assembly, I think one week before, there was the convoy. They were asking people to drive around your house within 10 kilometers, which is allowed under the law with a black flag. Right. Even that, police call people up for investigation. So, I mean, for that, I can't see what's wrong with driving around within 10 kilometers.
So what do you do when you get called up for an investigation like that? Do you again call your lawyer?
Yes, you go with your lawyer. This is exactly what we call the 112 statement. They call you up, and all the most of the activists have been called up, and I was part of the legal team, and many lawyers have been helping the activists on a pro bono basis to just accompany them to basically educate them about their rights, what to say, what not to say, and then command them to the police station.
Right. Because it's all intimidation tactics, basically, to try to stop them from doing this again.
As of now, I don't think anybody has been charged, but they are still investigating. And what they are trying to do, and it's also a very common tactic that, like earlier I said, anybody can lodge any police report.
Correct.
If let's say today I lodge a police report at Dang Wangi, so the police from Dang Wangi will investigate this police report, and then they will call me up to give a statement if they think I was part of that rally. then another person and even police themselves can make police report. And a lot of the time, they make police report. So somebody, another police from, let's say, Kajang, also make a police report about what happened, let's say, in Dataran. So the police from Kajang might call me to travel all the way to Kajang to give a statement. So it's to me, it's a tactic to harass and intimidate people from doing so. And recently, we have seen people being brought all the way from KL, Selangor to Malacca because someone criticized somebody in Malacca. And yeah, that's all they do, right? Because they say, oh, the police report was lodged in Malacca, which is why our department is in charge of investigating these.
This was exactly those scams that people like, oh, you have your car got don't know what in Jantan or whatever. That's why people don't trust these scams and everything. That's why we get so confused with all this kind of stuff. Yeah. My God. All right. So in this case, it's intimidation, it's harassment. An investigation is being done, but technically there's no file, there's no criminal record against you, I suppose, unless it's been proven. Right?
You only leave a record if you are convicted. If you are convicted in court.
The emergency technically has ended already because they said, was it July 31st or whatever it is, all right? So, but technically also, and this is a huge point of contention right now because our two biggest bosses are having a disagreement over this. The ordinances or the laws that's based on the emergency, it's still active and it will be active for I think another 6 months or whatever it is, unless it's revoked properly, right? Yeah. So are our rights different during an emergency, and do we have less rights? Do we have just the same kind of rights? Will our lawyers still fight first, and will they be able to do anything?
I don't think. I think your constitutional rights, like when you are confronted, arrested by police, and all that, I don't think your rights are being taken away. Regardless of whether you are in emergency, you still have the same rights. But again, I think to look at a bigger picture, what has happened is that our democracy has, can I say, been dead? Because
what's that word? Democracy here, Malaysia? There's such a thing? Sorry. Okay. Anyway, sorry. So
you see, if you shut the parliament, so I mean, these are things not exactly. I mean, we have law, we have our constitution, but in reality, the politicians are just fighting for powers and at the expense of the people. And when they shut the parliament, a lot of things cannot be done. Our MPs cannot ask questions in the parliament. I hope people have watched what happens in at least the past 3-4 days of the parliament.
Oh, you mean the circus? Yes. Okay. Yes, we have. Yes.
So you see, when you put them in parliament, they have to answer certain questions. Our MPs can ask questions, especially during this time. We need to know how the government has been spending our money. So if they shut the parliament, the MPs cannot ask questions. We don't know how they're spending our money. So really, if you ask me whether our rights has been infringed, I think that's the biggest thing or sin that we have seen. We can't question. We don't know. They don't have to give an answer.
Because a big thing that we're trying to question is, has the emergency worked? The whole point of the emergency was to actually try to bring numbers down. It's worse.
They can't. They even refuse.
They're not allowed.
Yeah. So I don't understand, right? And you see people say, oh, so now if you want to ask questions, you have to ask on Twitter lah. I mean, you see, even like Kee Hui Yee.
Because now cannot, because got cluster now. Yeah.
Yeah. So really, it's I think it's very bad in those terms, and I hope they realize or they at least care what harm they are doing to the people.
So there's a lot of things that people are just wondering about the law, about their rights, and which is why we have you here right now. So I'm sure this won't be the last time they will have you, because there's a lot to cover here. But this is just the most basic information that we need to have, right? So at least we know that when we're arrested, what we should do. Always call a lawyer. Ideally, call Hui Yee because she knows it's all about human rights, But anything else that we should kind of know before we get into the deeper stuff next time? Anything else that we should kind of arm ourselves with?
I think as a starter, I encourage everybody to look up what we call the Red Book. It's actually provided by the Bar Council. I will also send you a link. Maybe you can put in your caption.
Yes, we're going to put it right here. So you can click on it right here. And then we're going to,
That is a handbook produced by the Bar Council to educate people about their basic rights. So it covers what I've said earlier. When police want to arrest you, what's your right, whether they can strip you down naked by the roadside to do a search and things like that, right? So it's all covered there, basic things that you need to know.
Oh yeah, I can see, It's online as well, all right.
So it has Bahasa version and also English version. So it's I think I encourage everybody to just at least study that and don't be afraid to speak up, I guess. I think there are a lot of ways for us to, I would say, to uphold our democracy. I know it's a big word, but you see, I think it's just very heartwarming, at least in this very difficult time, that people like the young people are not giving up. We know that politicians, we have older people up there, and but we still try to do our best to speak up. And people are not afraid of speaking up, at least online. I know even when they organize that physical rally, many people have concerns, right? Oh, I want to go, I want to support, but then I can't do anything because either I have small kids at home, I have older parents. But I think there are a lot of ways where you can raise your concerns. You can tweet your MPs if you want to know something, get them to respond. Know your rights. It's all under our federal constitution, and just spread the awareness.
Now, we always do this right before we go, and this has nothing to do with what we just had a chat about. But it's more about Jantans in general, all right? So because the whole point of the Jantan Collective, the whole point of this show is to make Jantans better versions of themselves, right? So in general, any advice for Jantans out there to be better versions of ourselves?
I guess to always be aware or sensitive about what's happening. I mean, I understand that recently we have been, at least in Malaysia, we've been talking more and more about women's rights, equality, or we have Me Too movement and things like that have been going on. And I think I'm glad that it's going on. People are talking about it. And I think, but again, I still see actually men and women, let's say at a family level, right? We still say things to our kids like, don't behave like a girl. We say to small boys. I've noticed it when the boy is crying or just crying, whatever, then the parents will say, don't behave like a girl. So I think these are the small things that will actually be part of the younger generation. And it's something that we want to get rid of, right? So I just think everybody should be more aware of what's happening. I know sometimes you don't mean it. I'm sure the parents don't mean it to say that, but they don't understand the impact of their words on someone else.
Yeah.
So that's my wish, my hope.
What do you think is the biggest challenge facing Jantans today in this day and age?
I guess biggest challenge again is to live up to the societal expectations. You have to be all machos. You cannot be weak. You cannot be. You always have to be above women or something. I think it's also very hard on the men. It's not only on the women. It's also very hard on the men. Yeah, I mean everybody has their own strength and stuff, right? Not to say every man has to look like, I don't know, like The Rock. Everybody has to be that really bulky, then you are a man. I think it's just wrong. I think people need to recognize we are who we are, and you do you, really. I think we need to stop stereotypes.
I like that. Now, we touched on this a bit earlier on about advice, but also, I suppose it's as blunt as you can be. What should Jantans do better at?
Willing to listen, I think. I still think women are better listeners than men.
Ah. I agree with you 90%, but I know some women who are not very good listeners also. Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah. Okay.
To listen more. And secondly, to maybe less judgy about what people wear. I mean, okay, because recently we are so obsessed with the Olympics and all that, right? When I look at the comments about our gymnasts,
That's
our
true.
divers,
That's true.
it's all about their clothes. And I have no idea why. I mean, they have performed so well during the game, and all you talk about is what they are wearing.
Yeah.
It's just,
okay. I like that. What's the best thing about Jantans?
I guess they are more candid or more casual. They don't really hold grudges. But I know guys who do. But I'm just saying, I think they're usually more chillax.
Right, I'm one of those who hold grudges, unfortunately. Working on it. I'm working on it. Now, Hui Yee, I think suffering is a real understatement for what's going on right now. People are just going through. It's never been recorded in history before about what's going on. People's lives are not their own to determine right now, because right now businesses are failing. People are losing jobs because in many cases the administration can't do anything but to lock down, because that's the only way they know how to control this thing. But they're destroying economies, they're destroying lives. Any message to those who are really struggling, really suffering at this time?
Don't be shy or be afraid to call out for help. It's just very important that if you need help, just tell someone, talk to someone, and don't give up. Be hopeful. I think we will see light at the end of the tunnel. So I just think we need to be hopeful and just do our best. I know it can be very stressful. I myself, I haven't balik kampung for don't know how long. I haven't seen my sister because she's stuck overseas for more than a year. Things are really difficult, and I know people who have lost their family during this very difficult period. But I guess we are always there to look out for each other. I think, that's the beautiful thing about Malaysia and also our rakyat, which is why I also think this is why the politicians have been taking us for granted, because they know rakyat will always kita jaga kita, which is why I think even when they are doing bad job, they don't care. But you see, again, that's the beautiful thing. Malaysians are always out there to look out for the Malaysians. So if you need help, don't hesitate to talk to someone, and just be hopeful.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, we hope you really enjoyed the discussion that we had with Hui Yee. Now, did we miss anything that you'd like to know? Well, if there was, let us know in the comments below. But you know what? It's very, very important for you to know your rights. It's very, very important for you to know some law that protects you, because really, it's all about you. It's all about us. Kita jaga kita. Now, remember, on top of all that, don't be a dick.